Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 Western thriller with a little bit of horror thrown in, Homestead. The film is written and directed by Erland Hollingsworth and it stars Brian Krause, Jamie Bernadette, Dallas Page, who you may recognise as Diamond Dallas Page, the ex-wrestler, Mike Markoff, Greg Creek, Mike Ferguson and Betsy Sly. Now, the film is set in the Old West. There is a family. You've got the stepfather, played by Brian Krause, Robert. You've got the mother, Jamie Bernadette, who plays Beth, and you've got the two children. They have kind of set up their own homestead. They want to kind of start their own ranch. You know, they've only got a small house. He's got big plans to build it up and turn it into this profitable ranch. And then this one particular day, they are visited by somebody who, in actual fact, is a scout for a bunch of outlaws who have got a connection to the stepfather, Robert. They turn up, hold them hostage, and it is up to the family to then fight for survival to make it through the night until the morning. Right, what are our thoughts on Homestead? Well, as westerns go, this is not what you would describe really as what a typical western. It's not a gunslinging adventure or anything like that. Like I say, it's a western that plays around with other themes. You know, it tries to be a thriller. At times, it tries to be a horror, and it kind of uncomfortably sits in both of those categories, and never really becomes either of them. There is certainly a decent amount here to enjoy. I think the setting feels realistic. The production values are decent for this. You know, you believe the times that they're living in. It feels like a western, very simple life, all that kind of stuff. And the performances, for the most part, here are very strong. So it holds your immersion. Sometimes you can watch some of these low budget type films, especially westerns. And they can kind of break that immersion either because of poor performances or because the costumes and the sets look like there's something straight out of a kid's kind of western show, on a theme park somewhere. This doesn't kind of fall into that category at all. This definitely feels genuine. It feels realistic. It feels grounded for the most part. I think where this film faltered for me, and I think some people may enjoy this a little bit more than me because, like I say, I don't think this is a bad film at all. I think where it faltered for me is it just didn't feel particularly tension-filled for a thriller. You've got this family being held hostage. You've got these gang of outlaws kind of holding them hostage. And due to like some poor decisions and decision making by the bandits and the outlaws, it kind of gives them this family like a loophole to kind of fight back. And I think I would have preferred to have seen like the family kind of getting out of their own situation rather than due to the mistakes made by the outlaws for them to kind of give them that loophole. And the outlaws themselves just didn't feel sinister enough. And now I know Diamond Dallas Page has been in a few things over the years, and he's not what I would describe as bad in this film, but he just doesn't have that air of, sinisterness about him. And the rest of the outlaws were very, very similar. I mean, one of the outlaws even enjoyed books and wanted one of them to read to him. It just seemed a bit tame for what this film was aiming for. It all felt a little bit tame. And then there's a kind of a little bit of a shift about 3/4 of the way through. And obviously I'm not going to spoil the shift itself. But then the focus then draws heavily on the daughter, this 12-year-old girl who's a bit of a loudmouth, a bit of a tomboy, and she's good at firing weapons, firing the rifle, all this kind of stuff, and she's constantly bad-mouthing these outlaws, so on and so forth. And then, like I say, about 3/4 of the way through, this film focus puts pretty much the whole of its attention on this girl. And for me, again at that point, it kind of, I don't know, lost some credibility, because I don't think the film had done enough to kind of give us this realistic image of this really resourceful girl. I mean, for the most part in the film, she'd just kind of been a loudmouth, a bit rude, and a bit of a know-it-all, so on and so forth. And then we're supposed to believe she can kind of turn into this resourceful killer to a large degree by the end of the film, and it just didn't sit comfortably, I suppose. But I thought it was a great performance by her. She was actually one of the best parts of this film. Betsy Sly, I think she was called, who played the daughter. And yeah, there's just something about this film. It just felt a little bit wanting in a lot of areas. And like I say, it's a shame because there's a lot to enjoy about this film if you like this type of genre. It's just a little bit unbalanced and a little bit confused about what kind of film it wants to be. For me, if they wanted this film to be a thriller, it needed to be more tension filled. If they wanted it to be more like a horror, there needed to be more horror elements, and they needed to be a bit more ruthless. So it kind of felt a little bit tame overall to me, this one. But it's not a film that I would say avoid. It just didn't really click with me particularly well. So I hope you enjoy this review, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.